Hello anybody, and thanks for tuning into Monday Morning Handicapping. This is a race forecast edition of the upcoming 2025 Preakness Stakes. Just a little agenda that we're going to go over right now. We're going to review the field and provide basic pros and cons for each runner. I'm going to take a look at my projection of the actual running of the race and then end up giving my order of finish. So number one, goal-oriented. Some pros. He's 2 for 2 in his career. He's got a top jockey in Flavian Pratt, a top trainer in Bob Baffert. Has speed, so he should be able to get a comfortable spot. Showed on debut that he can pass other horses and win. Some of the cons, it's a big step up in class from an optional claimer to a grade 1 in only his 3rd career start. The horse may benefit from more racing experience before taking on this grade 1 level. We'll have little choice but to go early. I think this horse is going to have to show speed out of the gate. Is not going to want to get shuffled back early, so his game plan is pretty much to go up near or on the lead pretty early. This was trainer Bob Baffert's plan B after his other horse Rodriguez scratched from this race. I don't think this horse was ever planning on being in this race, and this was just kind of, we have the horse in the area, let's get a runner in this race. So it wasn't his initial plan to send this runner. And this horse last raced 14 days ago on Kentucky Derby Day and got a workout in between then and now. Might be a bit much for a grade 1 for a plan B horse to have that pretty solid workout within a 14-day span and then going on to take on grade 1 horses. Horse number 2, Journalism, 8 to 5 on the morning line. Some of the pros: he's had 6 career starts, 4 wins, a second and a third, has never run out of the top 3. Ran a very good second in the Kentucky Derby against 19 others, losing to a highly regarded horse that had a prior win over the Churchill Downs racetrack. Has a pattern of consistent speed figures well above what most in this race have shown before. Can sit off of the pace and run down top quality horses. Gets a good post to avoid losing ground around the turns. Some of the cons: it's a quick turnaround. Ran an all-out race in the Kentucky Derby 14 days prior. I wonder if the horse will show some fatigue and not run a best effort. Only 3 of the past 44 Kentucky Derby runner-ups have gone on to win the Preakness Stakes. I got that information from 2 different podcasts, one called The Racing Dudes and another The Ron Flatter Racing Pod. Number 3, American Promise, 15 to 1 on the morning line. Some of the pros: can sit just behind the early front runners and look to run on later. Trainer D. Wayne Lucas has won this race 7 times, second only behind Bob Baffert, who is training the 1 in this race. Some of the cons: this horse faded badly in the Kentucky Derby 2 weeks prior to this, has previously soundly lost to other horses that are in this race and that were also no threat in the Kentucky Derby. Don't see any reason for him to turn the tables today. So this horse had faced some other runners that were in the Kentucky Derby and none of them ran tremendously. Those horses didn't run great in the Kentucky Derby, and American Promise had lost to those other horses in smaller fields with less traffic trouble. So again, I just don't see why he's going to take a big step up today. His best race was a 1-turn mile against much softer company, so facing a tougher field and going 2 turns, which does not seem to be his favorite thing to do. Number 4, Heart of Honor, 12 to 1 on the morning line. Some of the pros: 6 career starts, 2 wins, 4 seconds. This horse has never run out of the top 2. Looks to sit mid-pack in a field with a decent amount of speed, setting up for the front runners to get a little tired late in the race. Some of the cons: according to the Ron Flatter Racing Pod, the jockey for this horse is shipping in from overseas where she has a 5% win rate and will also be unfamiliar with the terrain in terms of the Pimlico surface, other horses in this race, and just the rider tendencies of the other jocks in the race. This horse ran second to Admire Daytona last time out in a relatively slow race, and that horse, Admire Daytona, finished in last place when shipping and trying the Kentucky Derby. Now granted, Admire Daytona was a bit of a front runner, so when horses that are front runners get tired, they tend to get passed by a lot of other horses later, but still, Admire Daytona put in his run and just finished last regardless. Heart of Honor only has experience on the dry dirt track in Dubai, so arguably a very dry, fast dirt track, and it looks like Pimlico on Preakness Day is going to get plenty of rain, so I expect the track to be wet. Number 5, Pay Billy, 20 to 1 on the morning line. Pros: 8 career starts, 4 wins, a second and a third. His 2 off-the-board finishes were on the turf and a race where he was wide throughout, so I could kind of forgive some of those poor efforts where he was off the board. Has won 2 races in a row, has won 4 of his last 5, and was a nose margin away from coming into this race having won 5 in a row. So this horse is in sharp form, or as sharp a form as he is physically capable at this point. Ran his career best Beyer speed figure last time out coming into this race. Won last 2 races easily near the lead in races that the Timeform US rated as being favorable to closers. Some of the cons: this horse got a free entry with his win in the Federico Tessio Stakes last time out. I don't know that this horse would have taken on this field otherwise. His speed figures are well below others in here, and I don't see a compelling reason why he should improve drastically today. This horse looks to want to stalk the front runners, and his previous races look too slow to be able to keep up with that pace throughout. Number 6, Rever Thames, 9-2 on the morning line. Pros, 4 career starts, 2 wins, a second and a third. This horse has never run out of the money. This horse is fast, but can also sit just behind anyone who demands the lead. This horse lost by a neck in the Fountain of Youth Stakes back in March to Sovereignty, the eventual Kentucky Derby winner. So it was only a neck back of that Kentucky Derby winner when they faced each other. Some of the cons: trainer Todd Pletcher has 0 wins from 10 starts in the Preakness Stakes, and his best finish was a 3rd place finish in the year 2000. This horse made his debut as a 3-year-old and has yet to really improve on his Beyer speed figures in 4 career starts. Number 7, Sandman, 4-1 on the morning line. Some of the pros: this horse has a new rider in John Velasquez, who is a top talent. This horse has a deep closing style and will only be facing 8 others as opposed to 18 others in the relatively poor Kentucky Derby finish, so he should get a cleaner trip. He's not going to have to pass nearly as many horses and kind of go where he wants to be on the racetrack. This horse has won a grade 1 at 9 furlongs when getting a fast pace in front of him, and that is possible to happen here. A really fast pace, those front runners get tired, and some of those horses with stamina and a late kick can pass those tiring front runners. The distance of 9.5 furlongs look to be to his benefit. The cons: this horse has recently beaten others that ran quite poorly in the Kentucky Derby at best. So the horses that Sandman has been beating also ran in the Kentucky Derby and just did not fare very well. Those are the only horses he's beat, are the Kentucky Derby horses that did not run very well. This horse has finished behind Sovereignty by 5.25 lengths and 12.5 lengths. Compare that with number 2 Journalism in this race, who lost to Sovereignty by 1.5 lengths in a congested Kentucky Derby. So Journalism faced Sovereignty, only lost by 1.5 lengths in a field that was very congested, lots of traffic, lots of issues to deal with. Sandman has faced Sovereignty in less congested fields and lost by much greater margins. With rain in the forecast, this horse might have to run into the muddy kickback from the horses in front of him and or go wide around better horses than he's beaten before. If betting patterns repeat themselves like in the Kentucky Derby, the fanfare for this horse might shorten his odds. Clever Again, the 8 horse at 5-1 on the morning line. Pros, 3 career starts, 2 wins and a second. Took a year off after his 2-year-old debut where he finished second in a sprint race. Is certainly one of the now horses that is coming into this race with 2 back-to-back dominant wins, going a route of ground, so a mile or more, and will be making his 3rd start off a layoff where horses tend to improve. Jose Ortiz, the jockey, selects to ride this horse instead of Sandman, which might clue us into who this jockey thinks stands the better chance of winning, between Sandman and Clever Again at least. Has improved drastically between his first race back from the layoff and his second start. I saw on Twitter after his last win, Matt Bernier said about this horse, "There's your Preakness winner right there." So if you think Matt Bernier is a good handicapper, maybe he sees something in this horse that isn't there on paper in the racing form. Some of the cons: hasn't shown he can pass other horses, so he might be sending for the lead. He has never had to battle for the lead before and looks like he might have to here while going the furthest distance yet asked of this horse. He's stepping up from an ungraded stakes to a grade 1 against a Kentucky Derby favorite and runner-up, who is number 2 Journalism in this race. Number 9, Gosker, 20-1 on the morning line. Some pros, 3 career starts, 2 wins and a second. Never out of the exacta, including a win most recently in the grade 3 Lexington at Keeneland, where he passed 3 other runners. Is coming into this race with 2 back-to-back wins. Has a bullet workout. A bullet workout means fastest of the day, going that distance. Has a bullet workout since his last race. Best of 14 other horses that ran their workouts at that distance, which was 5 furlongs in 1 minute, 0.6 seconds. Has enough speed to stalk the pace in a race that tends to favor the front-running style. Will break just outside of the perceived front-runner and can stay outside, clear of any traffic, follow him, and try to pass when the leaders get tired, so this horse should get a good trip. The cons: is facing much tougher company in this race than he's faced in his career. Looks to be stalking a pace that will be faster than he's shown he can handle before. Will need to improve drastically this race. So now we're going to start taking a look at my projections. This first projection is of the break. This isn't necessarily how close horses are going to be to the rail once they get out of the gate, but just pretty much their gate speed, how forwardly placed I think they're going to be, how mid-pack, and which horses are going to be the closers coming out of the gate. So I think number 8, Clever Again, will go for the lead and will get it. I can see number 1, Goal Oriented, and River Thames, number 6, taking back just slightly because they are classy enough to fit in with this field, but have shown an ability to pass horses before. I picture number 3, American Promise, to sit right off number 8, Clever Again, and do his best to stay about one length from that leader and look to pounce on him early, as that is how his best race was ran, and this trainer won this race last year by going to the lead. Number 2, Journalism, will be in a good position to drop back and save ground after the break and headed for the first turn. Less is known about number 4, Heart of Honor, because it's an international shipper, but most comments indicate that he will sit around mid-pack, so I predict just outside of number 2, Journalism. Number 5, Pay Billy, looks to want to stalk closely to the leaders, but I don't see any reasons to assume he'll have improved since his last race to be fast enough to keep up with the leaders early, so I think he'll also be relegated to mid-pack. Number 7, Sandman, will look to save ground early and be in last, saving ground and waiting to make his late run. Number 9, Gosker, will follow behind number 8, Clever Again, as he darts for the lead. So going into the first turn, I think number 8, Clever Again, will have the lead going into the first turn by about one length to number 3, American Promise, who will go quickly enough to get to the rail and keep the pressure on number 8. Number 1, Goal Oriented, and number 6, River Thames, will be content stalking those front runners by about 2 lengths down near the rail, so saving ground, not going wide around the turns, thus making them run a further distance overall. I don't think number 9, Gosker, will have the early speed to get in front of number 6, River Thames, so he will be relegated in the clear, but in the 3 path just off of the hip of number 6, so a little bit wider, but out in the clear, no traffic really to worry about. Number 5, Pay Billy, doesn't look fast enough to keep up early and will have speedier horses to his inside and outside, which will put him in mid-pack by default, as the jockey won't want to exhaust this horse stalking right behind the pace setters. With enough speed in the race, number 2, Journalism, and number 4, Heart of Honor, will be content to sit at the back end of mid-pack and look to do their running later, while number 7, Sandman, I think, will look to duplicate Sovereignty's tactic, stay close to Journalism, and follow him when Journalism makes his move to the front. That will be number 7, Sandman's cue to go, is when Journalism starts his move. And my predictions for the first quarter mile time will be about 23.5 seconds. So going into the backstretch, the half mile time, I'm predicting about 47.14 seconds. Here I think number 3, American Promise, might begin to really show pressure and force a hand of number 8, Clever Again, and not allow him to get a breather in the race. Number 1, Goal Orientate, and number 2, Journalism, will need to start planning their escape to find some running room at some point. As you can see, there's horses in front of them, surrounding him, so they're going to have to try to find a seam. But for now, I think with less horses in the field in the Kentucky Derby, all the runners will be content to stay in their positions and look to advance heading into the far turn. Number 6, River Thames, will look to be getting the ideal trip in terms of clearance to run outside of the leaders without being too far back or too wide around any turn. Number 9, Gosker, will stay in the clear, but will have been widest of all while facing his toughest competitors yet. So heading into the far turn, I predict a 3/4 mile time in 1 minute 11.5 seconds. As the race picks up steam heading into the far turn, I think number 5, Pay Billy, and number 9, Gosker, will begin to give way, causing the number 4, Heart of Honor, to go outside and around those runners, while number 2, Journalism, will find a nice pocket to move up and out once past the 5 and 9, much like the Kentucky Derby trip that he got. It is still a question to me whether or not number 3, American Promise, will continue to run on, but I do believe number 8, Clever Again, will still be running on well. Number 6, River Thames, will look to make his run to the outside of number 8, Clever Again, and will have a clear path going 3 or 4 paths wide around the turn. Number 1, Goal Orientate, will find a seam between the 2 front runners as they fan out some around the turn. As number 4 goes around the tiring 5 and 9, I think number 7, Sandman, will follow behind him, look to swing wide around the field and make his long rally from out in the clear, knowing that the horse saved ground around the first turn, has plenty of stamina, and has a solid late kick. So going to go wide and just avoid all traffic issues and put that horse's late kick and stamina to the test. Into the stretch, the 1 mile time, I predict about 1 minute 36.4 seconds. Here's where the question will be answered about number 1, Goal Orientate, on whether or not he's ready for this level. He looks to be a promising horse, but maybe not up to this task. At this point, number 1 and number 3 are the hardest for me to assess how much more running they will be doing at this point, but I'm going to go with my gut and say they're not going to be huge win threats. Unless number 2, Journalism, finds a perfect seam to open up right in front of him, it looks like he's going to have to go around number 8, Clever Again, and number 6, River Thames, and then run them down. At this point, I don't expect him to be more than 2 lengths off of those leaders. Number 4, Heart of Honor, will be making making his bid to number 2's Journalism's outside, with number 7's Sandman rallying from both of their outsides. I envision the race to look very competitive at this point, and it will come down to who can outfinish who and who takes to what appears to be a muddy track the best. Down to the wire, I predict a finishing time of 1 minute 55.7 seconds. I do think that number 2 Journalism will be able to edge out the rest of the field due to his body of work, his terrific run in the Kentucky Derby, and also hearing on the Racing Dudes podcast say that trainer Michael McCarthy was preparing this horse for the entire Triple Crown series. So I will not be surprised if we see this horse face up against Sovereignty again in the Belmont Stakes, assuming Journalism comes out of this race healthy. I think number 6 River Thames and number 8 Clever Again will be noses apart for second and third place finishes. It could go either way. I think both of them getting good trips throughout the race will benefit them for the stretch run to put in a strong effort. Because number 4 is a horse shipping in from the Middle East, no success on a wet track with a jockey that has a low win rate, I can see number 7 Sandman edging him out for 4th place. Still unsure about number 1 Goal Orientate and number 3 American Promise, but if I had to pick which horse will run better in the end, I think number 1 Goal Orientate has a more promising start to his career than number 3 American Promise has shown me so far in his 10 races. Number 1 Goal Orientate also has one of the best jockeys aboard, so I think he'll get every chance to run one of his better races. My projected order of finish is number 2 Journalism on top, with the 6 or the 8 battling for second and third place finishes. I think Sandman will get up for 4th place. The 1 or the 4 in 5th and 6th place, it could go either way, and I think the 3, 9, and 5 will be rounding out the back end of the field. That's it for the Preakness Stakes racing forecast. Thanks to everybody for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Feedback is always appreciated, whether it's positive, negative, suggestions, or recommendations. Please like, subscribe, and or share with friends. Again, my target audience is for folks that are relatively new to the sport, so I try to explain things in a manner that hopefully everyone can understand, but also go deep enough to show the intricacies of the sport and how much there is to it. If you know anyone that is new to horse racing or wants to learn more, I have a couple of playlists where I kind of break down some basics for beginners. One of those playlists is How to Read a Racing Form, where I break down all the components of the racing form into bite-sized pieces and just explain what it's telling you and how you can read it. When I've taken friends to the track before and they see the racing form, they're a little put off. They don't want to get into it. It looks like a lot, so they just defer to me, and that kind of takes out some of the fun. So I broke down the racing form in simple terms, so I hope that everyone can understand it. Also, for anyone that you think might be interested in horse racing, I have a playlist, Betting on Horse Racing, where I break down each individual bet. I talk about what the bet is, what it requires the player to do, how much it costs depending on your ticket structure, and a few things that I look for before I place any of those wagers. So if you know anyone that might be interested in horse racing or just wants a little refresher course, those are some good playlists to share with them. That's it for my Preakness race forecast and how I project the race to go. Coming up next, I'll probably do a race review of the Preakness Stakes once all is said and done, and see how it compares to my projection and who I thought was going to win the race, run second, third, and so on. After this, I have nothing planned, but I have been wanting to do a pedigree playlist where I go over some new horses that have their babies running on the racetrack and just see where their offspring is excelling at. One of the horses I've been thinking about is a horse named Vekoma. Starting to see a lot of buzz around his horses. So if I can key in on what his horses like to do best, maybe there's some value to extract on a first-time starter of one of the Vekoma runners. But I'm open to suggestions or recommendations if anyone else has a topic or anything else they'd like me to cover, but these are just some thoughts that I thought I would share with you. Let me know what you think of this video or any videos going forward. Again, thanks everybody for watching. Let me know what you think. Good luck in the Preakness, and I'll see you next time.